Hello again. This is Rich Outfield, and this is another episode of Tales of eBay Horror. Feels a little bit like we're in the midst of a snowstorm here, but it's a special effect, an expensive special effect. And I'm not able to walk because the Rice Krispies make a crackly sound. A snap, crackle, pop sound. I'm in the midst of what you would call a tale of eBay horror right now. And I thought that I would stupidly come out here and talk to you about it. And I'm not sure that this was such a good idea, was it? All right. Learning experience. So a few months ago, 4 months ago? Yeah, I think we're going on 5 months ago, I sold an item to a guy and mailed it to Florida. And forgot about it. Never heard about it. 3 months went by and I got an email from this guy, and he said, I just got this package that you sent here in the Philippines, and it's broken. I'm upset about it, that it's broken. I paid a lot of money for this, and that you would deliberately sell me a broken thing makes me very angry. You knew that I would be unable to send it. That was dumb, huh? You knew that I would be unable to send it back to you, and so you sent me something broken on purpose. I want a refund. And I read this, and I feel like we've gone over this before. There's no benefit in me and a seller selling you something that he knows is broken, because eBay always sides with the buyer. And I will not only be stuck refunding you your money, but I will have to pay to ship it to you and then pay to have it shipped back to me. So it's going to cost me a lot more than it would have to not sell a broken thing. And I guess his reasoning is, I thought he wouldn't notice that it was broken, and so maybe I'd pull a fast one on him or something like that. But his reasoning was also that I somehow knew he was in the Philippines and that he would have no recourse. And so I had no idea what he was talking about. I went back into my history to find the item that I had sold him, and I couldn't find it. And it was because listings only last for 90 days on eBay. Now, sometimes you can find old ones, but I don't know how. And I couldn't find this one. I had the item number, but it didn't bring anything up. And I looked and I realized, oh, it's because it's been so long ago. I got a second email from the guy before I had ever responded to the first one that said, and all it was one sentence. And it was, I want a refund. That was the whole email to me. You know, everybody has their own pet peeves. Everybody has the things that bug them. But something that bugs me is the people that email over and over and over again. It may be fine for you, but for me, it's one of the things that I hate most. And I just don't want to deal with somebody who's going to do that. I emailed him back and I said, the item number doesn't bring anything up, and I don't ship to the Philippines. And then he emailed back immediately. He said when the transaction was from, and that he had to have things shipped to Florida because bastards like me don't ship to the Philippines. So he has all of his stuff shipped to Florida, and then a friend of his boxes everything up and sends it on to the Philippines so that he can get his stuff. And that I had sold him a broken item, and he didn't care how long it had been. He wanted a refund. I thought about this. And I didn't know what to do except for be angry. He sent me another email, and this email just said, please reply. And then he sent me a third one. I want a refund. You sold me something broken. There might have been a third sentence in there, but I remember those two because there were two emails that were basically, I want a refund, and that was the only message that he sent. I didn't know what to do. I talked to my friend who sells on eBay, and he said, if it's been over 90 days, I don't think he has any recourse. If he did receive something that was broken, why doesn't he just open a dispute? Because eBay will make you give him his money back. And I thought about that, and I didn't appreciate being told that I had tried to scam this guy. Maybe there are people out there that appreciate that kind of thing, but again, your mileage may vary. But I sat down, I gave it a good deal of thought, and I started to compose a lengthy email. And I kid you not, in the time that I was composing this email, now granted it probably took me 3 hours to write this email because I started to write it, then I got angry and I was like, F this, I'm not going to do that. I went and did something else, and then I came back to it and started to write this email. In the time that I was writing the email, I got another one from this guy, and I didn't even open it. I sat down, I was just like, okay. And so I wrote him the longest email I've ever written to anybody on eBay. And it was, first of all, I'm sorry that you had a bad experience. And I explained to him what I just explained to you, that there will be no benefit to me selling somebody something that I know is broken, because it's just going to have to come back to me, and I will have to pay double. I don't appreciate being called a trickster or a thief or a cock gobbler, I think maybe he might have called me. And I try to work everything out with my buyers, and I try to earn positive feedback and make people satisfied with their transactions. And in your case, I am willing to give you a full refund of your purchase if you will send the item back to me. If, however, this was like paragraph 3, you think that I am a thief or was trying to trick you, then maybe you would be better off selling this yourself, broken or not, to recoup some of your investment. Because if you think that I'm a con artist, then don't throw good money after bad. I can't think of another solution, but I am willing to do this for you, and I hope that satisfies you. But again, you would be required to trust that I will give you a refund. Think on it, and send it back to me if you want, if you choose. And then the last sentence I wrote was, this is all I have to say on the matter, and I will not respond further to accusations. And I thought about that last bit before I sent it because, you don't want to sound like a jerk. But ultimately it was just like, okay, this is the last I have to say about this, is my way of saying, don't keep emailing me. Here's the solution. I'm willing to be the better man, but do not keep emailing me. So I think the next day I woke up and there was an email from this guy, and he said, I live in the Philippines and it costs too much for me to ship it back to you. Why don't you give me just a refund? Why don't you give me a partial refund? Why don't you knock $30 off the purchase price and I will just keep it? And when I saw that, well, I've seen that kind of stuff before. And if you sell on eBay, you'll see it too. Whatever benefit of the doubt or whatever generosity that I had on my part just went out the window. I was like, oh, okay, just give me a partial refund so I don't give you negative feedback. Give me a partial refund so I don't want my money back. Give me I've seen it dozens of times, and I don't do that. I don't negotiate with terrorists. I don't give in to their demands. I won't do it. So I didn't respond. the guy had the option of sending it back to me, and he won't. And then I got another email, and that one I didn't open. I could see when it came to my mailbox that it said, why haven't you, and so I knew what the rest was. Why haven't you replied, or why haven't you sent me a refund? And then I got another one a couple days later. They went on for weeks. I think 3 weeks. I would get emails from this guy. I mean, I'd long since blocked the guy. I don't ever want to deal with him again. But to be honest, I've never opened any of his emails. And maybe that makes me the bad guy in your view. And if so, then tales of eBay villainy. But I talked to my cousin about it, and I said, what would you do? And he was pretty much in my camp about, I don't know that I would give the guy a refund, but I got to warn you that he can open a PayPal dispute 6 months after buying something and still get his money back. And I was just like, oh, well, that's interesting, because, I know he can't do anything through eBay. But again, if he wanted his money back, if he really wanted to stick it to me, why hasn't he opened a PayPal dispute? And my cousin said, well, maybe he doesn't know about it. Maybe he's not aware that you can do that. And I said, what would you do in my shoes? And he said, oh, I'd kill myself in a second. And I was like, dude, no. With this particular transaction, this quandary that I'm experiencing right now, what would you do? And he said, oh, basically he wants you to give him money so that he goes away. And I don't know that I would do that. But like I said, you're going to be screwed no matter what. Anyway, a couple of days ago, guess what I got from PayPal? He had opened a not as described dispute against me, and I lose. There's nothing I can do. He was unwilling to send it back. I guess I could tell PayPal my side of the story and say, hey, look, I offered this guy a refund if he would send it back, and he wouldn't. But part of me just wants it to stay where it was. That, this is the last I have to say on the matter. But I guess I'm one of those people who is arrested and taken before the judge, and they say, what do you have to say for yourself? And I won't say anything. I guess I'm pleading the fifth, but I'm really not. It's one of those people that just stays mum, and they say, you will answer the question, defendant, and I don't. It never goes well for those people when you see them on TV. I'm going to end up having to give this guy his money back. And so it's not a happy ending. I mean, of course, it's a horror story, and lots of times they don't have happy endings. That eBay buyer still is sitting on the bust above my chamber door. But I wanted to share it with somebody, because I've found, and you may not believe, well, maybe you will, but I have found that I feel good after telling these stories. Something bad happened to me, but I've shared it with strangers, and I don't feel as bad. Does that make sense? One thing I know for certain is there will be more bad experiences in the future. And I will try not to be stupid enough to do the episodes in the cold without a coat on next time. Good night. This has been Tales of eBay Horror.
Bid with confidence.